The Guilty is inspired by the 2018 film of the same name, directed by Gustav Moeller. This 2021 adaptation has been written by Nick Pizzolatto and directed by Antonin Fuqua. The skeleton of the film might be the same as its 2018 inspiration, but the coruscating performance by Jake Gyllenhaal is a spectacle in itself, if not anything else. The film takes you on a journey where you see a protagonist who's burdened by guilt, and everything he touches just breaks into fragments. He's trying to mend those broken pieces, but it becomes as difficult as bringing two like poles of magnet together. A police officer named Joe is on duty for attending 911 distress calls. Though he attends these calls, we often see him losing his temper and patience on the callers. He often judges the inconsequential nature of problems these people have, until a caller named Emily gives him a call. Emily blurs out facts about her whereabouts and the danger that she's stuck in. The disclosure of information is ambiguous in nature. Joe has to fill in the blanks at a lot of places. Emily pretends that she's talking to her daughter, while in reality, she was making a 911 call. Joe senses the fragility and precariousness of Emily's situation and therefore starts asking her yes and no questions. He formulates his conjectures based upon the fragmentary conversation he has with Emily. He comes to a conclusion that a woman named Emily has been kidnapped by her ex-husband and her two children are alone at home and in grave danger. He immediately informs the patrolling officer about the information he's received. He then gets on a call with Abby, Emily's 6-year-old daughter, who is alone at home. She says that her little brother Oliver is sleeping in the room and she's very scared as her mother has left her alone. Joe, for some reason, becomes very personally invested in this case, and we do see him doing things that are beyond the scope of his job. As the story unfolds, so does the mystery behind the speaked cop. We get to know that his irrational anger and engulfing frustration is stemming from something way deeper. The surface withers and leaves open the cracks, and we finally get to see a glimpse of the camouflaged guilt. Joe tries to connect to his wife, Jess, to talk to his daughter. Through the conversation, we realize that it had been 6 months since the couple had separated. Jess doesn't detest Joe's presence altogether, but also at the same time, she believes that it is high time that he should move on and pull himself together. She wanted him to accept the fact that she's no longer part of his life. Joe is a deranged man. He was suffering from asthma, which was not helping his already deplorable mental condition. Joe asks Jess about a guy named Rick and also if she would be present in the trial that was supposed to happen the day after. This is the first time we get to know that the trial is taking place. Jess just wants to get done with the conversation. She's finding no point in mulling over things that hold an exiguous significance in her life. We get to know that Joe had been accused of a crime and Rick, his friend, was the main defense witness. Joe was banking upon him, but Rick had his doubts. He thought that it was a lost cause. A few police officials had come the other day to influence his decision to appear as defense witness. He had been drinking on the eve of the trial when Joe called him and asked him to go to Emily's home where her daughter Abby was alone. Rick goes to Emily's home, only to find something that even Joe hadn't expected. The big revelation is finally made when Joe starts to understand the situation. Rick tells him that Oliver, who was Emily's younger one, was smeared in blood. Abby throughout was telling Joe that her little brother Oliver was sleeping, but little did she know that he lay unconscious on the bed. Joe had misunderstood the whole situation and acted on an impulse like he had done before. Emily had hurted her son because she was mentally unstable, while her husband Henry was just taking her away from the kids. Till now, Joe was thinking that Henry was the one who was to be blamed for all this. Emily climbs an overbridge, and just to stop her from jumping down the bridge, Joe tells her that he had also killed someone. There was a teenager whom he thought to be an accused and ended up killing in confusion. Joe accepts finally. He stops running from his past. He stops defending himself. He lets his guard down. He takes a step towards the path of absolution. The next day, he gives an interview to a magazine and pleads guilty to all that he was being blamed for. Nick Pizzolatto and Antonin Fuqua have taken some astute steps, where on one side they have maintained the sanctity of the original 2018 movie, but also have brought an authentic and original flavor to this 2021 adaptation. The camera is mostly fixed on Mr. Gyllenhaal's face. It takes us through the myriad emotions that are boiling and fuming inside him. Once again, the Nightcrawler actor proves that he's one of the most dependable performers who can carry the whole film on his shoulders. There's not a single dull moment in this brisk-paced drama, and it's definitely worth a watch.